If I look different, it's because I am now 1-0 as a 4th grade basketball coach. Breaking news!
This is CNN Breaking News.
I don't think Michael Avenatti is going to be president. Laugh if you will, and you probably will, but there were times in 2018 where the idea of a President Avenatti, or at least a Democratic nominee Avenatti, wasn't any laughing matter. Now, the rise and apparent fall of Avenatti is, yes, a somewhat salacious story of a lawyer for a porn star using the megaphone of cable TV to try to remake himself into a credible candidate. That all happened. But it's also the story of how fast you can rise and how disastrously you can fall in the modern political and media world. And it's a uniquely 2018 story about where we are in politics and culture at this depressing moment. It's amazing to consider given his current ubiquity, but most people had never heard the name Michael Avenatti before this year. Well, that's not for want of trying. Avenatti is someone who has always moved in powerful circles and valued that notoriety. Now, according to his website, he has represented Christina Aguilera as well as Don Henley and Glenn Frey, 2 founding members of the rock band Eagles. He's also handled litigation surrounding the movie K-19 The Widowmaker, whatever that means. Sidebar, I didn't go to law school, which technically means I'm not a lawyer. And yes, my mother is still disappointed in my decisions. Sorry, Mom. But for our purposes, and more on the point, Avenatti became a thing in the spring of 2018 when he took on the case of adult film actress Stormy Daniels, also known as Stephanie Clifford, who alleged that she and Trump had an affair in the mid-2000s. Now, Daniels claimed that she had been paid $130,000 by Trump's associate Michael Cohen in the days just before the 2016 election to keep quiet about those allegations. Avenatti quickly sued Trump on Daniels' behalf in hopes of getting her free from her non-disclosure deal. Then suddenly, Daniels was everywhere. And so was Avenatti, always at her side. You couldn't turn on cable TV, including CNN, without seeing Avenatti insisting that he had the goods on Cohen and Trump, and brashly predicting something, but always it would all come out on Trump and Cohen sooner rather than later. Now, when the FBI conducted a raid on Cohen's home, hotel, and office in April, they seized thousands of documents and they put Trump's personal lawyer and fixer at the center of the ongoing Russia interference investigation. It sure did seem like Avenatti had predicted the future. And because he's Avenatti, he wasn't shy about tooting his own horn. Here's Avenatti soon after the Cohen raid. Quote, "To those that scoffed when we filed this case and claimed it was all about $. As we predicted, and as the FBI raid shows, Mr. Cohen and Mr. Trump are in a lot of trouble. It has always been about the threats, cover-up, and the lies that have been told to the American people." End quote. As spring turned to summer, Avenatti's TV presence only increased. What he was talking about actually started to change, though. No longer was Avenatti simply defending Daniels' right to be freed from her hush agreement with Cohen and Trump. Suddenly, he was casting himself as the only person in the country willing and able to stand up to Donald Trump. And then, suddenly, it happened. In response to a maybe joking tweet on July 4th about when he was announcing his 2020 bid, Avenatti tweeted this, and I quote, "If, parentheses, big, he seeks re-election, I will run, but only if I think that there is no other candidate in the race that has a real chance at beating him. We can't relive 2016. I love this country, our values, and our people too much to sit by while they are destroyed. Hashtag Fight Club." What? Of course, with Donald Trump, reality star, gossip tabloid fodder, and recent convert to the Republican Party in the White House, who could rule out the idea of a man who became famous for representing a porn star who said she had an affair with the President of the United States running against that same president? In some ways, it's a perfect storyline. Avenatti went to Iowa. Avenatti went to New Hampshire. Avenatti started a political organization to donate to Democratic candidates. And most importantly of all, Avenatti talked tough, real tough.
So I say, when they go low, we hit harder.
This fall, he said this, quote, "We cannot afford to show up to the fight without a slingshot," end quote. Now, even as Avenatti was rising from celebrity lawyer to probably candidate for president, there were some warning signs that his rapid ascent might have glossed over a few problems from his past and present. In July, Avenatti paid the Internal Revenue Service over $880,000 in unpaid payroll taxes related to a deal he made to bring his law firm out of bankruptcy. In October, a judge ordered Avenatti to pay almost $5 million to a former law partner of his. Now, all of that paled in comparison with what happened in the middle of November. Avenatti was arrested in West Los Angeles on suspicion of domestic violence. Now, Avenatti vehemently denied the charges, saying at the time, quote, "I have never been physically abusive in my life, nor was I last night. Any accusations to the contrary are fabricated and meant to do harm to my reputation. I look forward to being fully exonerated," end quote. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office declined to file felony domestic violence charges against him, choosing instead to refer the case to the City Attorney's Office for consideration of misdemeanor charges. And that case is still ongoing. But politically speaking, the damage is done. A scheduled appearance for the Vermont Democratic Party was canceled, and Avenatti hasn't been seen on cable TV for weeks. For a time, even Daniels turned on him, saying she would drop him as her lawyer if the domestic abuse allegations were true, and suggesting that Avenatti sued Trump against her wishes. Now, don't worry, you can sleep tonight, because that fight has apparently ended, as Daniels tweeted this about she and Avenatti on Sunday night, quote, "We're going to kick ass together on two coasts tomorrow." Well, all may be well in the world of Avenatti and Daniels, but his presidential prospects aren't going to recover so quickly, and they might not recover at all. Politico ran a piece recently, headline, quote, "Avenatti crashes and burns," end quote. Now, I tweeted the piece out, thought it was interesting. Avenatti himself wasn't too happy with my decision and said this, quote, "Chris hasn't kept up in 3 years, and don't expect anything to change this cycle because he's still sleeping." Which, maybe. In a world in which Donald Trump is president, nothing is impossible. But Avenatti looks more and more like another version of the current president. And I'm skeptical that Democrats will nominate their own version of Trump in 2020. And that is the point. We make new episodes twice a week, every week. Tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the latest in hot and fresh political content.